What's up, everybody? Welcome to the AEW Double or Nothing Kicked Out at 2 review.
A
little change of pace there. So obviously we usually review Dynamite, but when there's a pay-per-view, got to have that special episode. Also, when they stick Dynamite on Friday night of Memorial Day weekend, we're going to review the pay-per-view instead.
It's just logical.
Yeah, awesome. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Coming off Memorial Day weekend. Nice. Wish it was a little bit sunnier, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It rained, but it didn't stop the pay-per-view from happening, and I was very excited, and it delivered.
Yeah, and Eric is, of course, still off on a secret mission, although we've heard breaking news, just 2 more weeks, he said, just about 2 more weeks. So we'll have Eric back at no time, and I can stop being the host, which I look forward to.
Been taking the reins very well. We're going to have a big countdown coming back.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. All right, awesome. So we'll just touch lightly on the pre-show, which I will admit I missed. I watched the pay-per-view actually on Monday due to weekend travels. So the pre-show is not part of that. So Serena Deeb against Riho for the NWA Championship, and Serena Deeb retained, but you caught it, right, Chris? You got that?
Yep.
Nice. Tell us about it.
Yeah. She defended the title. What was it? Again, this whole NWA's title, they got like so many titles kind of randomly go in. I'll be honest, I had this like on in the background. I was like doing a couple other things just because I want to watch pay-per-view, and I didn't even know what the pre-show was until then. And honestly, it was so refreshing. The crowd coming back. This match, like everyone was, I think, just so excited because I'm thinking like they didn't put any effort into it. And they were going ape shit for it, like nuts.
That's absolutely the through line for the whole show. I'm sure that we'll say it a million times, but it's so much better. Obviously, with the crowd, you could tell how jacked up the wrestlers were about it. Several moments of people like obviously crying when they were in front of the crowd, which
just
is fine.
Rejoicing.
We can break kayfabe. We can break kayfabe for that.
Exactly. But the match is very good. Honestly, I think they need to sign Serena Deeb if they haven't already. She is phenomenal. I think this whole women's division has finally come into its own. And when they first announced this match, I'm like, no, this is like kind of a throwaway Dynamite match where Deeb is obviously going to retain the title. But like the way how the crowd got into it when Rio being she's great at telling the story of being an underdog. I'm just like, wait a minute, is she gonna win? And then like everyone was so into it, made me think, I'm like, oh wait a minute, she couldn't win, and then she didn't, and I was just like, I knew it.
Daniel Bryan, very Daniel Bryan effect.
Yes.
That's great. I agree. And I was a little bit bummed actually that there was only one women's match. I mean, it was a pretty stacked card. It was a 4-hour show. But so if you're going to have only one on the main show, having the pre-show match, only one match being this made sense. And I don't know that there was any other storyline that would have been appropriate, but just want to make that comment.
Yeah, match was good. That's what it delivered.
All right. So then we started up and we had Hangman Page against Brian Cage. This was, very rough and tumble. Read a little review of it. Cage came out really hot. Hangman hung in there and even executed a buckshot lariat. Thank you. It ended with Cage being distracted by Team Taz, throwing the FTW belt into the ring, but Cage refused to cheat and then got distracted enough where Hangman was able to hit the buckshot lariat and claim the victory. This being the first match that I watched, the crowd was my biggest takeaway. By the way, I also think the set design was awesome.
Yeah,
the way they had the stage, the way you could see the crowd like all the way around. I think everybody needs to get more creative with that stuff. Like I think about the Royal Rumble in the baseball stadiums. A little bit of difference makes it look so cool and special. And this this was special for the reason of the crowd being back, but there's no reason why you can't have moments like that all the time.
Right.
Sure enough, you were right. Hangman came through. I was suspicious, but I did like how they did it. These guys looked awesome. Brian Cage is so I couldn't believe when he did the buckshot lariat. Like, I mean, I could because I know
Yeah.
he's great, but it looks so cool, like a huge guy like that flying over the ropes in that way.
Yeah.
Um, and it is kind of a bummer if Team Taz breaks up because they have kind of a, I mean, they have a good vibe, and without Brian Cage, I don't know if they carry that weight. But at the same time, all for Hangman winning, all for Cage looking good, and maybe he'll feud with, I don't know, Ricky Starks or someone, and they'll
Yeah.
keep it going that way.
No, that's what I think. I mean, like, yeah, I was kind of bummed. Like, I thought like this match was great. I thought they protected Brian Cage very well, as in
Yeah,
like,
they
because
did.
like I didn't really understand at first why Brian Cage beat Hangman at first. I was just like, why was this a thing? And then they made it into a story. And then like they're still making it a big deal. It actually kind of would have been bad as in like, oh, Hangman lost because like all these guys interfered. And then but he beats him anyway. This kind of makes it seem like, okay, Brian Cage is like a real deal. He's a big monster.
Yeah,
And it takes a lot to beat him, which is good. And I'm bummed because I like Team Taz a lot. I want to stay in within that group, but this does open up a lot of things. They could do stuff with that FTW belt that's just a prop to them right now. I know no one likes hearing that, but that's what it is because it's just he's wearing it and they don't really talk about it.
yeah.
And it's cool that like they kind of planted the seeds a little bit when they feuded with Sting and Darby. He said he respected Sting, and then they kind of reverted
Hmm.
back to what it was, and now they're kind of like going full fledged into that. So that's good. I think
It,
when Starks gets back, I think maybe just Cage goes out on his own, and then they still have a Team Taz thing. But match is great. Hangman could open a show anytime, every time. He just knows how to open a show.
that they,
Yes.
I love that so much. Um, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh no. Oh, they built the feud very well, I think,
Yeah.
with the like, or the turmoil is probably the better way to say it. It felt really earned. Like
Yes.
it
Not
felt
just
really earned.
thrown in as in like the next week, as in like, remember last week when I liked you? I was like, I hate you this week. I'm just like, that makes no sense. Like, at least like let it fester for a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So then we moved on to the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The Young Bucks against John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I mean, hard to summarize altogether, just
Oh
crazy, a
man.
lot of flying back and forth. Kingston kind of injured his knee earlier in the match. That affected him throughout and during the finish. Moxley was just getting picked on as a result of that at the end. He did kick out at one to a double super kick, which was awesome, but eventually took four straight BTE triggers, couldn't kick out, and the Young Bucks are your still
Mhm.
your tag team champions. You go first.
This match honestly was amazing. I
Whew.
think when like John Moxley and Kingston came out, it's Wild Thing. It's like we kept talking about for weeks how like, oh, when the crowd comes back, like it's gonna be so awesome when like they're
Mm-hmm.
getting into it and stuff like that. And it was exactly that. I'm like, this is just freaking cool. Just this guy coming in, and it makes it like
With
it.
the shoes,
Yeah,
like,
it's just like they're like street guys, and like the reason why you watch it, like you want to watch larger than life personalities, because like if you don't want to watch TV, just regular Joe Schmoes, and like that's what the music made it sound like. And like honestly, it just looks like Mox and Eddie are just having the time of their lives, and like that comes off very well. It's like if they're having a great time, you're having a great time, and it's just enjoyable to watch. And the Young Bucks are killing it as heels,
oh man.
and they're just very good. It's a very good tag team. Again, I kind of praised Eddie and Mox for this, that they could have just rest on their laurels and just be two single guys, just tagging.
Yeah.
They put in the effort to be like a legitimate tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Match was just awesome, kind of going back and forth, and the crowd was so into it just because of like how much they are back like behind like Mox and Eddie, and how much they just didn't want like they booed the Young Bucks and everything. Here's kind of my hot take a little bit, because I thought the match was great, and I know like the Young Bucks should like winning made sense. Like, you know, yeah, I praise like about like tag team wrestling and the story of tag team wrestling. Like, okay, and keep the belts prestige. Don't just like hot potato it and then just like, oh, and these random two guys just like mesh well with each other. But I don't know, like when I'm watching it and the crowd's still watching it, I actually like really wanted Mox and Kingston to win. And I was just
I'm gonna
thinking, like,
I know. I thought they were going to
at
too.
first I
I'm
did, and then like when they didn't, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, you know, it was probably right for storyline, probably right for whatever. But I'm like, how cool would it have been if they
Well,
just like pulled that upset? Because it was an upset because they're not like a legitimate tag team like the Young Bucks. But I'm like thinking, like, couldn't they just call an audible and just say, you know what, just win it tonight?
so I think, without getting too ahead of ourselves, I think that was the moment in the battle royale. Like, I think they
Yeah.
were like, we can't have a whatever WrestleMania that was, New York, like
Yes.
recently, where every face won. And I think that was maybe in their mind because, yeah, I mean, I was convinced for probably like from, I don't know, 70 to 95% end of the match that
Mhm.
they were going to pull it out somehow. Especially when he kicked out at one, when Mox kicked out at one,
Yeah, everyone just
the
went nuts, and I'm just
and
like, oh
went and
man, this
shook
is
his
great.
head
Yeah.
and was like, nope. Oh man. My favorite part of the match was probably the beginning when they just came out so crazy and it was
Yes.
just so hectic. When he took the beer from the person, chugged it, drank it for real, and then
Yes.
like shoved it against his head. I was like, wow. I think about this all the time, how Stone Cold, or at the time, Dean Ambrose went on Stone Cold's podcast,
Oh yeah.
and Stone Cold at the end was like, hey, I got to tell you, I really like you, but I don't feel like you're near your potential. I feel like you have a long way to go and you could be doing a lot better than you are. And yeah, Moxley was kind of like, okay, that's a weird way to end the interview. Thanks a lot. And I really think that must have either he knew that and off mic they were like, hey man, like I'm being held back by the system or whatever,
Yeah, it's just like I can't do what I want here, man.
or I don't know what it was, but I'm so, yeah, he's hit that level. He's so awesome right now. Such a fan favorite, still like good wrestler, coming off the ropes, like doing the bounce off the ropes with
Yes.
the
Yeah, you and Eric rave on
yeah,
that.
I love that, the
Yeah.
clothespin. I love that line or
Yeah.
that move. Yeah, he's great. Everybody was so good in this. The Bucks were like made to be heels, which is so funny because they're such faces. And when
Yeah.
they turn back face, I'm sure it'll be fun. But uh, yeah, just really great. After so the first match, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good wrestling show. After this, I was like, okay, this is they're really going
Yeah.
for it. Like, I mean, this they stacked this so well. Awesome. Just
Just
really
yeah,
awesome.
they were shooting on all cylinders right out of the gate. Like I thought like Page and Cage was like great opener. And then watching this, I'm like, holy shit. I was just like, this is what I missed about like with the crowds and stuff. And like I know I said like
Yeah.
like Eddie and Mox, like it would have been so cool if like they like would have won or whatever. Like even if I was like a backstage guy and I called like, okay, Young Bucks have to win. Like to be honest, I'm saying it right now as in like I kind of like think maybe Mox and Eddie should have won. I still probably wouldn't have like been that gutsy to make that call. But then like after seeing the match and then maybe them coming to the back, I've been like, God, how cool would it have been if they just like just called it like they call audibles all the time sometimes and they
Yeah.
just like win it and like the whole crowd goes into like a frenzy because no one expected Mox or Eddie to really win it, to be honest, but like
Right. No,
everyone was
I,
so
I agree.
invested in it that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, just pull the trigger or whatever. But it was still a great match.
Well, they did. They pulled 4 BTE
Oh
triggers now.
yeah. Set you up for
Yeah,
that.
I
That
did.
one.
I do think they noticed something like that because Jim Ross started talking a little incessantly about how the Young Bucks team up on everyone and it's
Yeah.
2 against 1 all the time. And I
Mhm.
think maybe part of that was the Eddie injury angle, and part of that is just pointing out that that's what they do.
Yeah.
they don't abide by the rules. Like they're the best tag team, but they don't really play by the rules. So
Mhm.
I don't know. This was awesome. I don't have anything bad to say about it. The beginning had me so turned up, and then the whole match delivered, and it was so long too. And it was
Yeah,
engaging
didn't
the
feel
entire
long.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Didn't
Yeah.
feel long. I'm watching this. I'm just like, and then after it ended, I was just like, I'm looking at the time. I'm like, oh wow, we're already at this hour already. I'm like, that was
Well,
phenomenal.
so like, because I said I ordered it after
Hmm.
the fact, so I was curious, like, how long is this going to run? Because I was like, okay, when will I be done watching this? And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a long show.
Yeah.
It really never felt like a lot. Like, I mean, maybe a little bit. No, you know what? No, it never felt like a long show. It always felt like, wow, great. This is great. All right. So next, the Casino Battle Royale. And we won't go through every little bit. I thought the format was really strange, how they had people come
It's
out.
tough, a little tough going in
Yeah.
as groups, because you wanted to make it like a Royal Rumble, but I know they want to do something different. But the Royal
Yeah.
Rumble is just kind of perfect in itself of accentuating guys. The groups is
Yeah.
just hard. Like
I did appreciate that they are trying different things, and it made it shorter than the Royal Rumble, which is like automatically an hour or whatever it is.
right.
Which is too long for a bet. Like, I think, except for the Royal Rumble, it's too long for a battle royale.
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble has earned it after 30 years or whatever it is. But
Yes.
so the final five was Matt Hardy, Private Party, Christian, and Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, and Jungle Boy. I loved that they had a moment where it looked like Matt Hardy was trying to convince Christian
Yes.
Cage to team up with him, but they did not. So they got rid of the Hardy family office. So then we had Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, and they did some moves at the end on the apron there, which I'm always like, wow, they have to have an insurance plan here, because like it would be so easy to fall.
Yeah. Just one guy falls and just ruins the whole thing.
Ultimately, Jungle Boy swung around the ring post, very Jungle Boy of him, and then dropped Christian onto the floor to win. Had a nice little moment at the end where Christian said, "You go get that title," or some part of that. That's my very bad lip reading version of that. And yeah, the Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt came out. Boy, this was, talking about why didn't Moxley and Kingston win? I could maybe draw a straight line into, like, they didn't want to have two moments in a row that were this feel good, because this was like, it's earned and it's just a feel good moment. I thought, like I said, the format was weird. Oh, we should mention Leo Rush is maybe in AEW. Maybe
he's, I think, splitting time with like New Japan and AEW. At least that's what it says.
He looked great. He got eliminated right away, which isn't great. But he did look good. I was legitimately excited for that. That's cool. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the whole match. There wasn't a ton of story. I thought it moved quick and had a consequential ending, which I think is a good measure of the success of a battle royale. So, and then I couldn't believe that Jungle Boy won. I was like, well, this is really nice. They're giving him the spot. Maybe him and Christian will feud after or something.
Yeah. Like,
and then him winning.
Good.
This was one of these, like, oh man, wrestling is really cool. Like, it's such a cool thing to watch.
I was actually worried, to be honest, because we have like been through this before with the other companies and stuff like that, where honestly, like we were even predicting this, right? Like, we had no idea who was even in this match besides like kind of mainstays and like Christian Cage. So we just kept saying, Christian Cage could probably win it. I was honestly worried that he was going to win it. And like when it was the last three and the crowd is going like uber over for Jungle Boy, I'm like, oh my God, please have the wherewithal to know that Christian's just going to get booed out of like the building if they decide to go with that. Like, as in, like, we saw Royal Rumbles making those mistakes constantly, as in, like, oh no, if they win, they'll cheer for him. Like, no, they'll hate you. They will hate you. So then when
even Jungle Boy, Jungle Boy came out, people were popping huge for him.
Exactly. We're talking about the music, right? He comes out to Tarzan Boy, whatever his music is, and I'm just cracking up. Everyone's just so into it. And then, like, so it's the final three, right? Like Matt Hardy, like you could tell, like Matt Hardy's kind of like the major heater or whatever. And I'm thinking, like,
he's the whenever Triple H is still in the match or whatever.
Exactly. Like, you need someone to boo, so which makes sense. And then when they eliminated him, I'm like, oh God. Like, I was excited, but also just worried. I'm like, if they really want like a good feel-good moment, they need to have Jungle Boy winning. But if they pick Christian Cage, he better be a bad guy at the end of it. And like, as soon as like when he was cool, he swung around and I cracked up. I texted Eric. I was like, he swung like a Jungle Boy around the pole.
Yeah.
then he won. And I was like, oh, okay. They knew where the call was and stuff like that. Honestly,
I did not think he was going to win. I thought, oh, that would be cool, but I mean, Christian is gonna win. And I would have been fine with that. I
I
mean,
would have been
like,
fine
I
with that too, but they had
popped
to
way
make
harder for
sure.
Jungle Boy, but yeah.
Yeah, they had to like make sure like if Christian won, I'm like, you better turn him heel and make him a bad guy because you're not gonna win like a babyface battle against Jungle Boy because it's just like you can't boo that guy. Like that guy's just so much like fun, like coming out with his music and stuff. And it's just like, and he's also young and tiny, so he looks like a kid. So it's just like you're not gonna boo him, are you? Like,
Well, that was part of what they were saying. They were like, "Oh, he looked up to Christian Cage when he was
yeah,
young, just
exactly.
starting wrestling," which is totally true. I mean, wild stuff, man.
I'm
Yeah,
going
that
like
was awesome.
I'm like going backwards to front here. Like that was like the end match was great. I thought the match was okay in general. It's confusing. Though honestly, the only thing that's good about these groups is if you're the beginning group, that's where I feel like you get highlighted. As in like your entrances come in and stuff. But if you're coming in the middle of the match and you're like the middle of the group pack or
Yeah, the
whatever,
beginning and
it's
end.
just like no one really kind of cares about that. And our boy Max Caster killed it on the mic, by the way. Can't forget that. And I'm
He
telling you, the
did.
crowd was so into it. I knew it was
But
gonna happen.
yeah,
just
they love
just
him.
loved him in every sense.
However, he either Dustin or he missed his cue because then
Yes. Oh yeah.
they were
Whatever
on like
happened.
the third beat, and so like he had to stall for like a minute or
Yeah.
not a minute, but he had to stall for a whole like 8 bars. It was
Yes.
very awkward, but that's all right.
Yeah. But like I thought this was good in a sense of the match was like okay, nothing to really write
Did
home about.
did we know like who was in what card set? We didn't,
No.
right?
See, that's what I don't
Yeah.
like. It's just
So
like I'm just like they put it like on the little left hand screen. They put the names, which is like helpful, but
yeah,
like if you're a
but that was
casual
after.
person, yeah, after they come in and do their stuff, it's just like I don't know. Pay-per-views, I think they're probably expecting like, okay, it's gonna be a hardcore fans buying. This is not casual stuff. I don't know. And I'll be honest, I'm in the complete opposite of how I felt, but I could give two shits about Leo Rush when they announced that. I'm like, I like,
Oh, okay.
it was just like,
That's fine.
it's just I thought like when they do that sometimes when they hype up this surprise guest or whatever. It's just I kind of wish it was something more. But I feel like AEW has so many of these guys. Like
They don't
Tiny could do
need.
anything, whatever. Like he's
I mean,
Tiny.
talking about like Daniel Bryan, like the only person that was really going to be a surprise is
Oh yeah.
someone like that. But I'm at the point where they don't need, like, we're done with this. Like
I didn't even
I
think
mean
they
the
need a
Mark Henry.
surprise. Like, the Mark
Like,
Henry thing, like that's cool, I guess. But like, okay,
well,
like I like him in the backstage sense.
I was literally sitting there like, is it going to be Chris Jericho? Like that like passed through my mind. Like
Yeah,
who's the Joker going to be? Like, is it going to be like a reimagined
I kind of
like
just
someone?
wish they
I don't
just
know.
didn't do a surprise because sometimes I just feel like sometimes it doesn't
Well,
go as like your expectations are going to be higher than what it actually is.
so if they're going to do this it seems like they're going to do this every year, right?
Yeah,
They're going to have Double or Nothing, Casino Battle Royale,
yeah,
Joker, surprise. So yeah, they have to talk about, is it supposed to be a huge like new signing? Is it supposed to be? I think it's going to change all the time. Like,
yeah. It's fine. Like again, like I like watching Leo Rush. He's very talented. Don't get me
you,
wrong. It's just like they have so many of these guys that could just do so much in the ring, and they're tiny. It's just like how many of you like, and then you have to hear the announcers, which I actually kind of like Paul White being an announcer as a big man, as in like, okay, I know battle
yeah, that
royals and
was
stuff
good.
like that. So I thought, and he's actually doing well. At first, we thought this was so random, but like I've watched the elevation stuff. He's serviceable on the desk.
Yeah.
But like they're hyping up like, oh, it's like Leo Rush, and I'm just like, I guarantee they didn't think that. Like it's just, yeah, like I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just like he comes
No,
in.
no.
He was a little awkward, kind of coming in and stuff, and he's just so talented because he is quick and everything. But you just know he's not going to win, and I don't even know if he's going to be showing up on Dynamite even the next week or whatever.
Well,
It's just kind of weird.
the weirdest thing about it, I thought, was he went out like right away. Like he
Yeah,
came in,
it was just like
he
your
did a
2 minute
couple
thing.
moves,
Yeah,
and then it was gone. So yeah, don't hype that person up. Like keep someone out that you
yeah,
know is going to be, or that you think
because
is going to
like
be in the match.
I agree
But
with you in a sense of like if you're gonna hype this guy, I'm like, all right, like show out for this guy, like highlight them. Don't eliminate him after like, okay, I'll do my moves and then in a minute, because then you're kind of doing that guy a disservice after you just said he's like this Joker's wild thing.
I think part of it was probably I never like. Don't think I ever really watched him wrestle that much. Just or like whatever show I was watching, he was never wrestling on.
Yeah.
So like part of it was I was like, okay, these are pretty good moves.
I read
Oh,
some.
except for he did really miss that
Yeah.
stunner. That was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. That's
So
what kind of like made it like fall flat a little bit. But like I was actually talking to Shar about this, was it just in the match in general. Great that like, so the best part of it was Jungle Boy winning, and that was like a real good feel good moment. But like the match as a whole wasn't that great. But like it's actually good for like pay-per-views. Like Adam Page and Brian Cage start off super strong, and then you have that tag team match, that tag team title match, which was like really really good. Then you have this battle royale. It's actually good to have like a show where you're not
totally.
tired. Yeah, not tiring yourself out. This like battle royale needed to what it to be, as in like, hey, just have a feel good moment with Jungle Boy winning. We don't need to make this battle royale super amazing, because then the people will get tired out for like the big main event stuff later on. Actually, like
Not
kind of the even flow of like the show.
well, honestly, that's a great segue. So the next match was Cody Rhodes usually we don't say that till the end, but defeating Anthony Ogogo.
You didn't even need to say it. People already know who to won.
Yeah. Um, honestly, this was a good match. Ogogo it ended when he attempted a pop-up punch finisher, but Cody countered into the vertebreaker, which does look awesome. And it was a
Yeah.
little bit of a sudden ending, but that's fine with that move. I feel like that's a finisher,
It's like
absolutely.
a good, like he called it like it's kind of like a special move, like a pay-per-view move, as in like it's not really done. I think they wanted to show that Ogogo can go, but you know, I hate myself.
um, oh, don't hate yourself. I love you. His Ogogo's frog splash looked awesome.
Yeah.
This is definitely the highest I've been on him. I will say, in the world of wrestling readers and podcasters and writers, I think we've been pretty low on him compared to others.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about that because
No, we called it like
I
it
feel
is.
like he's been okay.
Yeah.
But
He looks like a
this was
star.
good.
He's just really green. And this match showed like Cody
He's
can have a
really
good match.
green.
He's very green.
Well, right.
Okay.
He can have a good match with Cody.
Yeah.
Right. Is it good? Because Cody, so that's where we probably never give him enough credit. Like he does like carry some of this stuff. And that even his very awkward promo made people be like, what's going on here?
Yeah, no. It's like I was just like, God, I was just like, all right. I was like, I'm not gonna disagree with anything, but man, I was just I was just watching a show. I didn't think I was gonna get into this political like involvement.
I did love Arn chasing QT with the chair for a while, looking like he was really going to mess him up, and QT looking legitimately scared. Overall, this is okay, but this felt like a palate cleanser to me. I mean, which I think it was kind of supposed to be. It's Ogogo's like first like medium big match. I mean, it's a big show, but it wasn't a big match on a big show. They knew he was going to lose.
Yeah, dude, when you call yourself the American Dream and it's Memorial Day weekend, it's difficult to say, hey, let's make sure this guy takes the fall in this one. Obviously it wasn't going to happen. Like, I actually even like that QT is now like, I don't know if you notice, he's like all in on his bowling shirts now he gets different colors and make sure it's like, see, that's, so we like hated it at first and I got like pretty annoyed. I'm like, oh, this group is boring and stuff. I'm like, all right, at least they're showing character. At least they're kind of filtering in a little bit, as in like, oh, they hate this. All right, I'm just going to put out this more. Ogogo is good. He's a star. He just needs more time. That's all he needs. Is just definitely more time to get more experience. This match was good, but you said it best. The palate cleanser where Cody won with the vertebreaker. It's kind of cool that they could win a match on anything. We were just so used to the crossroads and stuff. But at the same time, it's nice that like Ogogo can be serviceable in the ring and like actually perform bumps and all that stuff. But at the same time, it was an easy story. USA versus England. USA won on Memorial Day. That's kind of like the easy story there.
Yeah, let's see what happens next.
Yeah,
for sure. QT, I mean, give him credit for now he's kind of developing the character. I thought his facial expressions were awesome. Like especially when he lost, like he looked really, but like I don't know. Again, he's a wrestling coach. He knows all the things to do. He's just not the best at doing them, which is fine. Is there a more contrast between Cody's so awesome, simple dream tattoo on his chest and his horrible tattoo on his neck? Sorry, Cody, if you're listening. That was a
I
strange
thought the
choice,
first
my
time I
man.
saw it, I thought it was fake, and then I'm watching. I'm like, oh my
Yes,
god, that thing's real.
same.
I thought it was like a fruit roll up or something, and I'm like, is that it?
Really
And
can't.
I was just like, all right. I mean, he even said
Well,
he's like, oh, it's on. I'm like, yeah, that's on. Like, it's on.
well.
Yeah, just I agree with you in that sense.
All right. So then we had the TNT Championship match with Miro and Lance Archer. Um, they had Archer's logo on the mat when he came
Yeah.
out. That was awesome.
Yes.
Again, another one that started pretty fast and then kind of went. It was more of like a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Miro eventually kicked the middle rope into Archer's nether regions. I'm reading from a cage side seats. I'm borrowing from some of their summary, by the way. So shout out them. And he got him into the game over camel clutch. Archer was too powerful, but Miro unloaded knees to his spine, bent Archer backward with the game over. Archer went unconscious. Great protection here. Although sometimes they protect too much in AEW. Sorry, that was a side comment, but
yep,
a little bit. But the ref called for the bell. This is a great way to have these two meet. And in this case, the protection was warranted because Lance Archer is like a beast, man. This is great. I love the use of the hair, using his braid, shades of Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks.
Definitely. It's just like with this match though, it's like it's good. Like, yeah, like you said, it's just like sometimes they protect too much, but like Archer is like we've been raving about him for a while. I think he's a great like tweener type of guy. So when they booked this match, I was a little bit worried. I'm like, one guy's gonna come out great, but I'm like worried that the other guy's gonna come off like a chump, as in like I thought we kind of knew Miro was gonna win this, but like with Archer, I was like, can he lose again? Like sometimes, like I feel like he's kind of been losing a lot of big ones here and stuff, but they protected it very well. And I always like a big Haas fight. Like honestly, it's just two massive guys going at each other, and it's just pretty cool that like they're very serviceable. They can bump and move around for each other a lot.
It feels like Archer could be Jake Hager or Wardlow, but he has too much personality to just stick him in a faction. Like he has to be. So it's interesting, right? Like the big guy and all that.
Because he has a lot of color to him and stuff like that. Like you just said, like just his presentation.
Well, he would never.
Music
he's not
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not believable in a faction.
Right.
He'll or just a big faction.
Yeah.
Jake coming out with the snake and Miro throwing it. Okay.
Obviously, there's no snake in there, but I just cracked up because like Miro.
What is in there? Facial, like an animatronic, like a thing that's going like
obviously
this?
He's not chucking a live animal like that could possibly go into the crowd. But like I also crack up because we're talking about facial expression. Miro's facial expressions crack me up.
Well,
like
so that was where I was getting his. That was fine, but his how that like turned on his craziness was amazing. And like I need psycho serial killer sociopath Miro like all the time. Incredible stuff. Well, he can't be crazy all the time because that's the point, right? At some point his
he's a
switch
like flip a switch, you know what I mean? Yeah, because then you just get too used to it as in like, oh, he's always gonna act like that. But like I think he delivers it well as in like, oh, I'll go crazy when I need to go crazy and stuff like that.
Yeah, very interested to see where all of this goes. Lance, what Lance does next, what Miro does. I mean, like, yeah, I wonder what the conversations that are had on like Darby Allin being TNT champion versus Miro versus whoever. I'm just curious.
No, this belt's been great though. Like they're talking about Cody praises it all the time, saying like, oh, this is like a very important belt just because like he wanted to push it, which is good. But every time that we see a good TNT match, like it really elevates the guy, which like I think that's the purpose of this belt, to really elevate the guy.
It's been such an awesome second tier belt, which is so funny because they have so many belts on this show, but clearly the most important one is the AEW.
They do good. Yes, they do the job TNT. Of like, here's our belts. These are the most important, which by all means you have to do that. It's your show.
And then you wonder, well, right. I mean, to get meta about it, if you're the other companies, you're like, cool. Like, does anybody want to wrestle for our belt? No. Okay.
I know exactly. That's why I was wondering all these like kind of like they keep calling it forbidden doors, but like when they do these like jobs and stuff, like one company's not going to look too good and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is. We'll stick
I
with
guess,
AEW. It's fun.
hey, the cost of exposure, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no, that's true. That's very true.
All right, next we had the AEW Women's World Championship. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD,
Nice.
against Hikaru Shida. Um, Reba interfered at some point. The ref was ejecting Reba. Baker seized that moment to super kick the title belt into Shida's face and then curb stomp her onto it. Shida recovered and connected on a running knee, but Baker kicked out. Shida was slow to move to the next attack. Baker capitalized with a crucifix pin and transitioned into the lockjaw submission. And just like we thought, DMD is your champion.
Yes.
You kick it off.
I honestly was just like the only thing I was hoping for this match. I'm like, just have her win. And like literally, it doesn't even need to be a good match. Just have her win and it'll just deliver exactly what it needed. The crowd was waiting for it. Everyone was waiting for it. Honestly, it's kind of made me realize that Cheetah didn't get like the proper run that she deserved. But to be honest, she did a very good job of when the women's division was floundering, the pandemic, no crowds, not having like great women to work with. Honestly, hats off to her to have the wherewithal of making sure like, hey, I'm holding this belt. I'm going to try and make this as important as possible. And I think she did. I think she did a phenomenal job. I think a lot of people should give her a lot of credit for that. This match was a little slow and then picked up at the end. They were sloppy. But again, I think just Britt Baker winning was like the most important thing. And I think I was actually most shocked by this is that she made her submit. I think that really put her over. I was confused at first. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then I'm like,
well,
you know what? That's a really good call on them to really put like Britt Baker over.
talk about protecting. I thought for sure she was going to pass out. When she
Right.
tapped, I was like, oh, okay.
And like, actually made me like Sheeta even more. At first, I was like, oh, okay, she's a champ, and I'm like, okay, she's good in the ring. And then I'm like, honestly, she carried the belt when the women's division was not good at all. She put over this woman who's frankly been killing it, and she's like, I put her over strong. And she knows the greater good is like we need strong women in this company, so like we need to because like you can only feud with each other for so long. She knows that.
She's not done.
Yeah.
I mean, even the way she played heel a little bit in this match, like was willing to do anything
Yeah.
a little bit for the title.
Mm-hmm.
And then kicked out on the well, that's not playing heel, but kicked out on the belt against the head, like all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was strong. I'm glad that Reba didn't really, I mean, she interfered, but she didn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. I loved seeing Shido walk out and like get so emotional. And I know that she said, you know, she really wanted to be the champ when the fans came back. And so that was cool. That was we talked about it before, but that was very Drew McIntyre to me, where he was like, you know, what I really want to do is walk out with fans as the champion. So I'm glad that she got to do that. The crowd was cheering for her. I mean, the crowd knew Britt was going to win, and I think if anything, they wanted to show that appreciation for Sheeta when they were all like ready to cheer for Britt.
Mm-hmm.
Got a little weird at the end because she's supposed to be a heel, and like Tony Schiavone's like walking up to her, like hugging her. But I know like it's deeper than rap, right? Like sometimes. So
it's like,
okay.
It's like we know because they have this rapport, right? Where like that's how Britt Baker became the DMD. Britt Baker was making fun of Tony Schiavone and like being this like the role model, all that stuff. So they kind of have this back and forth, which was good. It made it sentimental, but at the same time, go all in on that heel character. Like if he was gonna go in for a hug, I thought it'd been hilarious if she like would have just low blowed him or something as or pushed him as in like, no, this is me and my time. And I bet everyone would have cheered for her like even 10 times more. But like let her have her moment. That was awesome that she gets to win. And now I'm excited to see how she's going to run with it.
New belt looks way better than the old belt. I don't know if we're there yet with the women's belt, but this is definitely better.
We're getting there. We're slowly but surely. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. We are getting there.
Yes.
All right. So, and shout out to DMD. I was so amped when everyone was going.
Oh yeah, I thought of you so hard when I cracked up when she did that. I was just like, I bet Quags is gonna crack up when that happens.
I was waiting. I was waiting for it, and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna do it. And then I thought on the entrance ramp, like she would walk out, but I was
Yeah.
like, how will she cue people up?
Yes.
And then I was like, people won't know. So
that's
then
important.
they waited for the ring announcer, and I was like, oh, good, like good choice, like creative team. I was literally thinking in my like marketing person brain, like, this is the time to do it, but nobody's gonna know to do it.
Oh man, that was good.
Yeah. All right. So then we had great match. Sting and Darby Allin against Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. There was some brawling at the beginning. Sky suplexed Sting on stage. Stinger no sold, jumped up, and then pushed Sky off the stage before taking his shirt off and revealing a singlet there, doing a flying crossbody down to the floor.
Classic Sting.
Awesome. Crazy moment. We had All Ego throwing Darby Allin out of the ring, over the ropes, over the barrier.
That was great. I love that.
Another really great moment when Sting had Page in the Scorpion Deathlock, Sky had Allin in the heel hook, and they started to try and gouge each other's eye out.
Oh, that was so good.
Eyes out. Yeah, that was crazy. It looked like Scorpio Sky might get the best of Sting, but Sting held onto the rope to counter a cutter from Sky and went right in the Scorpion Death Drop and pin him 1, 2, 3, baby. Ooh. Darby Allin has no like care for his body at all.
No,
and
he does not.
But Ethan Page looking at him and like being like, I'm gonna throw him right onto his family. And then him getting there, which thank God he got there. Almost didn't.
Yeah.
His leg
just made it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Gosh, I don't worry about wrestlers generally. They're professionals. I know they know what they're doing. Man, I worry about Darby Allin sometimes.
Because you could just tell he just doesn't care. He's like, if it messes up, it's whatever. You could just
he's
tell.
Like, it's fine. I'll be out for a year.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess he's pretty young, so he's more healable.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was really awesome. Sting looked great. Yeah, I think some of his moveset, it's funny with the older guys, like a Stinger splash.
Everyone goes nuts. He literally jumps 2 feet, and it's just like he could honestly just jump an inch, and people will still go nuts for it,
which is fine. Like same thing with the Scorpion Death Drop. Like this is like a very wild comparison, but should The Rock come back, like to people's elbow and like rock bottom? Like we'll go crazy for it.
Yeah.
And thank God it doesn't put him at risk. Like it's a very like
easy move, just get it done type of deal.
Yeah. And you're not gonna hurt anybody doing it.
Nope.
Like, but yeah, this was super fun. I mean, like this totally served its purpose. And Darby getting this rub from Sting is like incredible stuff. Can you imagine?
I was texting Eric on this. I was like, this has been great for Darby. I'm like, this has been such a good pairing, as in like he's getting a proper like rub just from just being around Sting. It makes sense. I remember we used to get annoyed by like, oh, let's interview Sting this week, whatever. That stuff was getting very frustrating. But now things are finally different. And it's not more of like, hey, here's Sting. Like, here's Darby. And like Sting has really put Darby like, hey, here's the guy we're showcasing. I'll do my stuff, but make sure Darby gets showcased. And that's how it's been for the past couple months. This match, though, I did not know what to expect. I kind of knew what to expect. Darby was going to take a lot of heat, get beat down. Sting does his Stinger Splash, Scorpion Death Drop. I thought they were going to call it a day.
Oh, I really loved the fake hot tag when they were like, oh, Aubrey didn't see the hot tag.
You and Sharp agreed to that. Like literally when that happened, Eric texted me saying, I love when they do that shit. I cracked up and I was just like,
also like, I love what the Young Bucks do. I know it's just different, not to hate on them at all. Right. But like, I love like a tag team match where the rules, quote unquote, do come into play. And Aubrey does have that I mean, we talked about it
Just
before with
adds more to the
Jericho.
match.
Yeah, like she's like doesn't take any BS, right?
Yes.
So like her being like, okay, I'm gonna count to 4, like, you're illegal, you're illegal, you're
Yeah, I know.
illegal, get
Exactly. She
out.
like, but that's what you
Um
need. Just it makes more
and it
sense so
didn't take
people.
away it
Yeah.
didn't take away from the moment. Right. I
No,
agree.
it did not. But this match was so good. Just like even the spots you mentioned, like I like when they got him to like the heel hook and the scorpion deathlock. I thought they were gonna do like the classic thing of like they're both screaming at each other in pain and stuff like that. But then like they just dead set of these eyes at each other. I'm like, oh, they're
Oof.
pissed. And then they're just grabbing each other's faces. And I was like, wow, that was fantastic. That hasn't been done before. Very interesting. That was really cool. And honestly, when Ethan Page picked up Darby Allin, I was just thinking like, oh, okay, he's got pressure because Ethan Page is a pretty big dude, as in like he doesn't like he's not like maybe the super most defined guy, but he's big.
Yeah.
And when I saw him running, I'm like, forgive me for my language, but I texted Eric as soon as he did. I was like, fuck yes. I was cracked up. I was like, I love that. I remember like old school ECW days when like Bam Bam Bigelow would pick up like that Spike Dudley and just
Yeah, yeah,
toss him
yeah.
into the crowd. And like I felt like because like that was like old school, like we were like not like even alive or even like or not even like watching at that point. I felt like this was kind of our moment of like, okay, he's just gonna chuck him into the crowd. I just did not expect that at all. This
Well, he did an
exceeded
awesome job
expectations. Yeah,
with
exceeded
his
expectations.
same with Miro, right? Like the
Yeah,
eyes. Like he was like, I
yeah,
hate this guy. And again, like awesome, and they earned it. They earned
yes.
it. They threw him down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
They like he said, I put that dent in your skull or whatever, which
Ethan Page has been awesome.
yeah.
I think he's going to be a
So
player
so
in the
so that
future.
that was my next point. I think they did a great job getting Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page into this like next
Yes.
level when I mean we thought like, okay, it's kind of random together. It doesn't really make sense. Like you see them shouting from the rafters and being like, who are these guys? And you're like,
Yeah, it's
why are
weird.
they doing this?
Yeah,
And I don't think that eliminates our criticism. Like, why were they doing that at the time? Still strange,
it's still
but
strange, definitely.
it did pay off. It did pay
Yeah.
off.
No, I talking about looking good in a loss, these guys looked very good. As in like now I kind of understand why these guys are team. They're kind of like these new like millennial type players, as in like, hey, we dress in a fashion different ways, we're cocky, we're this, we're
Oh,
that, and all that stuff.
yeah. Had they shown? I guess I haven't been watching Dark or Elevation, but
Mhm.
has that been their intro for a while? Like Men of the Year and the
So
like
that
GQ
was
style
actually, I think
photo
they
shoot.
just introed at this pay per view, which I was just like,
Okay.
okay, this makes way more sense now
Yeah.
because then they don't.
Agree.
Again, like we like that presentation so much. Like I hate it when it's just two single guys, just throw them together, see what happens. Now they're not like that anymore. It's kind of like they're
Words.
a little bit,
It's like their names, like
yeah,
Skypage or whatever. Like
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
Scorpion
exactly.
Ego.
Yes,
Like yeah.
that's when you know you're trying too hard. But honestly, this match way exceeded expectations. I thought like they were gonna tell an easy story. They went all out. Sting was great, and I even read that like obviously
No,
the
they did
crowd was
all out. All
uh
out is later in the year.
got
They
me there.
doubled down.
They
They
doubled
doubled
down.
down.
Yeah, double down for double or nothing. Perfect. Perfect. Uh the
Sorry, the
rest,
crowd.
yes, the crowd obviously super over for Sting, but I heard that everyone will like the wrestlers in the backstage were giving Sting like a huge pop backstage saying, hey, that was phenomenal, which rightfully so. Deserved it. Being that age and being able to pull off, very good, and everyone else looked great involved.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, only 2 more matches.
Yep.
So we had the AEW World Championship, Kenny Omega against Orange Cassidy and Pac. Lot going on here, very fast
Yes.
paced. Another one where there's so much going on. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a moment.
Mhm.
Man, they all looked great. Eventually, it did kind of break down. Pac had Cassidy in the brutalizer. Omega tried to stomp Pac to break the hold, but he wouldn't budge. So instead, Omega dropped an axe handle on the ref to prevent a finish. Omega blasted Pac with all of the championship belts, AEW, Impact, TNA, and AAA. He was on the verge of victory, but Orange Cassidy came back with a Superman punch. backup referee made a 2 count, but Omega reversed the pin into a crucifix cover to win. You kick us off.
I thought this match started off slow but built up correctly. I thought I was talking about this with Sharp. I didn't feel like it was just random spots put together. I felt like each spot kind of meant something, and it built to something bigger and better towards the end. It wasn't just like, oh, this would be cool if we did this and then do this and then do this and then do this. I really liked how the whole time I'm like such a big Orange Cassidy fan. They made Orange Cassidy not just there. That's what I was worried about, because they hyped up Pac. Pac's a great wrestler, and so is Kenny Omega. I think is probably the best wrestler. And I was a little bit worried that Orange Cassidy would look out of place in this, as in like, hey, we know his shtick, but like, and we know he can go in the ring, but like, will he just be a guy who's there, or is he a guy who's potentially going to be a main event guy? And I thought they did the latter.
It seemed like they used the shtick. Like there was a couple shticky moments, but it kind of worked. Like putting his hands in his pocket on the top rope.
Oh yeah, that was great. I popped for that one pretty
big.
Like,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Like it was good, like to you, because that's what you need to do with him. Like it would have gotten old if like he just would have been just super lazy all the time. Everyone's like, okay, we've seen this before, but he's using like you said, using his stick to his advantage, like putting his hands in pocket. People go crazy for that, and everyone like then you get the old school wrestlers as I'm like, oh, he's ruining the business or whatever. I'm like, he's just working it. Yeah, he's working his gimmick to the point of like, and it's just working. Why? Like if it's not broken, keep going with it. I'm really happy they made Orange Cassidy like a player to a point of like he could have won. Like I was happy, like we all knew Omega was winning, and I kind of like that it was Sly in that sense.
It's not the time, right? Like I mean, if Orange would have won, I would have been like surprised and like, oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like the hands in the pocket, Pac, like just like, and this is what I actually really liked about the match, kind of towards the end, is that you got Omega, who's like clearly one of the best wrestlers ever. And then you got Pac, who's like super intense. And then you have the complete 180 of super intense. You got Orange Cassidy. And I kind of knew that they had a good mindset of like, how do we contrast all these styles like together? It was kind of like we got two guys who are completely 180 different. And then you got Omega, who's kind of gluing that all together, which I thought was very good.
Yeah, you're right. That's the way their styles work, kind of is that, which is funny because I feel like Pac and Orange Cassidy work so well together.
Yeah, they do.
So I know I said Superman punch a couple times. So Orange Punch, forgive me.
Get it right.
So that kind of brings me to my next point. I kind of wish that wasn't his finisher. I feel like
it's what it is. I kind of just like him for a shtick at this point.
I know. Yeah, it's so uncreative. I don't love a punch finisher, but okay.
And I love that.
yeah, and I love him so much. Right, we've talked about it with a go-go.
The go-go. Yeah, we gotta be impartial here. Just because we like Orange Cassidy doesn't mean he doesn't get away with having a punch finisher. But I do think it kind of works with his gimmick a little bit, as in like
it does. It does.
Literally is so lazy. He's taking a big move from the main guy of another company.
The biggest wrestler.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'll just use that move. And I'm like cracking up. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of like his thing, whatever. But Pac was great. Omega was great. And Cassidy, I felt like came into his own a little bit, where I was a little bit worried. I'm like, is he just thrown in here, or is he gonna like show out? And like, I think that he was good.
He's such a good wrestler. Yeah. And the way they kind of redid the moment where he got injured, but did it correctly.
Yeah.
And made a point to like highlight it.
Yes.
Okay. Good for them.
But I just even like, it was weird, even randomly in the match. Like, I kind of like that they used Orange Cassidy's stick to the point of like, it's usually a heel thing where someone does like a big move and he like ran in, pushed the other guy out and tried to steal the pin. I'm like, that doesn't only need to be like a heel thing to do. I mean, like everyone's trying to win this match, be smart about it. And that's what he kind of did. Yeah.
I thought it was 3.
Oh yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, that was good.
Kept true to himself.
I will say, so do you know, he used to drink a thing of orange juice to like power up.
Oh yeah,
halfway through the match.
Thing. Yeah.
So when they had the backpack, I know they said he was going to bring the belt back in the backpack.
Yeah.
I thought I thought he had orange juice in there. I was excited for him to drink some. So maybe we're saving that.
Yeah,
Maybe we're saving
pulp,
that.
no pulp. I think they might be saving that for a big, maybe when he actually wins it, hopefully.
I think I need to buy that best friend shirt with the best
Oh,
friends and
oh yeah,
Orange
Chris
Cassidy
Statlander, yeah.
and Chris
Oh
Statlander on
yeah,
it.
they look like ET. They're flying into the moon with the bicycle or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh
sure I'm gonna
yeah,
buy that.
that one's good. I
Um,
was like, I got the other one. I like the cartoon. I like the kind of the cartoonish
yeah,
feature of it. And then I saw that one. I'm like, oh, that one's hilarious. Like that
yeah.
one's great.
Well, that's like I love those guys too.
Yeah.
So Kenny looks great. Such a
Yeah.
like the best wrestler. He's so amazing. Pac, I think, is probably like give him a run for his money. Like just amazing wrestling. Just talking
Yes.
about just straight
Just purely
wrestling.
wrestling. Yeah.
So like, and I know the point of Kenny's thing is that he has all these belts now because, you think about in a couple months he's probably going to drop all these belts, and then his new character is going to be how he's so sad he doesn't have any of these
Yeah.
belts. But I don't know if this was a great ending. I think Callis ripping the ref out on what looked like it was going to be a 3 count for Orange Cassidy,
Yeah.
that's fine. Like beating everybody with the belts and stuff, I thought that was okay. I saw some people like really taking a dump on it, like hating it. I didn't hate it because this is just where we are right now with the character. And who knows, maybe in like 4 months I'll be like, wow, that was so awesome. Remember when he did that? And now someone's doing it to him.
Maybe
or
it'll age well.
right, whatever it is. But I kind of wanted this to end with like a one-winged angel, like proper.
Yeah.
So I'm
trying to think about it.
I'm kind of nitpicking because, right. I mean, think about it.
I didn't hate it
just a little bit.
I didn't like hate it. Like I understand what you mean, because it did kind of just seem like it just ended.
Well, you have one more second to think through it. Just let me say. Here's why. When it started, I was like, okay. Like, this is how this is gonna go.
Right.
Again, like not bad, and like some of that's in wrestling, like the expectation. It's like when like music resolves, right? You're like, yeah, this is what I expected to happen. But yeah, I didn't love it. I kind of felt like the match deserved a proper ending a little bit, but that's just not what we get with Kenny right now.
Right. Like this, okay. That's like kind of where I'm coming at a little bit. As in, like, I wish it had a definitive ending, but like, it's kind of like Kenny's like shtick and his thing is like, you're not supposed to like him. You're not supposed to like how he wins either. Like the belt shots thing, the belt shot things really didn't bother me. I actually thought he was gonna win like that, and then I'm like, oh, that would have kind of sucked to end it like that. But then
right, how it,
then it festered through. I was like, oh, Orange is about to win, and then he rolls him up real quick. I thought that maybe protected Orange to a sense of like, wow, he was that close of winning, and Kenny had to just dig into his pocket, no pun intended, deep in his pockets to just roll him up real quick and just pin him, because like that was kind of the whole thing how they built this up, right? Where Kenny's making fun of Orange as in like, oh, okay, can we just announce that I'm versing Pac because there's no way you're gonna win? And then it comes out to this. So like thinking about all of that doesn't make me hate it. And it kind of makes me think of like, we kind of should expect Kenny not to like pop for Kenny because he's supposed to be this big heel champion. We're actually supposed to boo him. We wanted Orange, like we wanted to cheer for Orange. Kenny got booed. It kind of like, it made sense, but I wasn't a fan of it. It served its purpose. I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Yeah. Right. I agree.
Yeah. It's weird. Cool. It's weird to say as in like it was appropriate. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it was appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fine. I thought like it was good. And I guess maybe some of this is too is like now we're in the world title match. Like now we're in what's supposed to be. I mean, and the next match is super fun, but it's not the most important match. So schmozzy stuff, like at this point, you're like, okay.
Yeah. I have more take on it, but I want to talk about the main event because I think that brings more of like my kind of like points of why that match ended the way it did, but I don't want to speed up. I don't want to skip over the main event of what actually happened.
All right, so let's talk about Stadium Stampede 2. Started awesome. It appeared the Pinnacle pulled up in a limo, but actually, well, won't reveal yet. We had MJF coming out asking. First of all, tank tops looked awesome. Just like the Inner Circle's gear looked awesome. MJF said, "Where are you, Inner Circle?" Well, they were just at the top of the stadium.
Oh yeah, so good.
So they oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. Not catapulted.
When they're zip lining down.
Yeah. What's the right way to say that?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I called it the zip line, or like just
repelling.
Repelling.
They were
yeah,
repelling.
Yeah. Nice.
There you go. Goodness gracious.
Yes. We've been stuck on that.
Repelled down to the field. Some great camera tricks there for that. So everybody kind of split off. We had Jake Hager and Wardlow. Hager speared Wardlow through a wall at one point. FTR and Santana and Ortiz, who are in whatever the club section of the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium is, loved how they had a shot of vodka before they started going at it. And yeah, that was really fun.
That was awesome.
Jericho and MJF fighting all through the stadium and through Urban Meyer, Jacksonville Jaguars coach Urban Meyer's office.
So random. Funny.
Yeah. And then the sort of main part of the match was Sammy and Sean Spears. I love that kind of chair room that they had set up.
Oh yeah.
With Sean Spears. If he's going to be the chairman, like, let's lean into it.
Yes.
Ultimately, Sammy prevailed, pinned Sean Spears, and yeah, Inner Circle gets to stay together. Good for them.
Yes.
So some takeaways before we get into the nitty-gritty. Very cool how they set this up to spill into the live audience. I'm sure, well, I don't want to say they weren't expecting it, but I doubt that many of them thought that would happen. Like, they kind of probably resigned themselves to the show mostly being over.
Yep.
Clearly AEW is, like me, in love with Sammy. So, letting him finish. Great.
That was great. Great move by them.
I thought this walked the line of comedy and seriousness pretty well. I will say that, like, I think Jericho and MJF in particular want to go into comedy more. Like,
they're good at it, as in, like, they should be the ones doing that,
But like, it's hard to, it contrasts with them saying they're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing with it, is this isn't a comedy feud, like, very far from it, but it always leans into comedy elements. Whereas, like, the vodka shot before the match in the club, like, or the rumble in the club,
like, if you hate each other,
that's really, like, old West.
Yeah, that's old West stuff. Yeah,
that's like a shootout. Like we're about to kill each other, but, like, hey, we all appreciate a shot of unbranded vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, like, I was into this. Of course, I'm trying to decide if I liked it more than the last one. It's just so different. It was very, very,
very
different.
I will say, if I had to pick, I would pick the first one. I liked better because I thought it was a very perfect amount of, like, seriousness, big spots, and, like, comedy. So I kind of knew going into this match there wasn't going to be, like, they even said it right in their promos, like, oh, this isn't going to be some, like, rom-com or whatever, some funny stuff or whatever. Just because like, they're in a very serious feud, so you already knew what you were going to get out of these. Like, this is going to be very serious. So I kind of would have been bummed. I'm like, it wouldn't make sense if you had this many comedy spots, but that doesn't mean I didn't like the comedy spots from, like, back when you had Chris Jericho just elbow the crap out of the Jaguars mascot. Like, that's just funny. Like, that's just funny to me.
And how about when MJF punched the cardboard cutout of Shad Khan, and he was like, Chris Jericho goes, "You are in so much trouble."
Well, it's, like, funny. It's like that they did toe that line pretty well when they when MJF is just, like, running from, like, kind of like going from the hallway into, like, the Urban Meyer's, like, coaching room or whatever. He's just like, Chris, let's talk about this or whatever. I just, like, find that stuff, like, hilarious because, like, he's such, like, a like a
Yeah.
cheesy heel in that sense, but he does it so well.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it where his character lends itself to that being
Yes.
serious and to being like, oh, come on, like
Yeah, as
I
in
was
like,
just kidding.
okay. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
was just like, it's just funny how like it's just like classic like movie like
Oh,
bad guy stuff.
I never said the Pinnacle wasn't in the limo. It was just
Yeah.
MJF. They pulled up in a
But
truck.
that was yeah, that was kind of like you knew that was happening.
It's also funny, like you can't surprise anyone in the middle of a football field.
Yeah.
It's very large.
Yeah, exactly. Like you would hear a truck coming from it. It's just like it's funny. But like that was like so the rappelling down, that was awesome. I was like, oh wow, that was like a very cool thing to do. Like, okay, let's do that. Actually, one of my favorite parts, and I was like waiting for it. I knew they were gonna have a bar scene. So I was just kind of waiting for that. And I like love FTR and I was waiting and I'm
But
like, okay, they got tag teams in, and then like you just and the of course they just pour in the shots. It's great. And I actually loved that they're like they just said like KDJ hit the beat or whatever, and it's Conan. And I'm like
it's
cracking up.
Conan.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Conan stopped Tully from interfering. I
Yeah,
like that
because
too.
like
He's like,
because they like during their impact days, like Ortiz and
mm-hmm.
Santana were like the new LAX. So like I liked how all that story came like back around as in like, oh, this makes sense. As in like if you like are like a huge fan like we are,
you, you
like you
know a
kind of
little
get
thing.
rewarded for that.
I mean, it doesn't make sense that there were people like partying in there, but I
No.
did like that that FTR and Santana and Ortiz beat up everybody in
Yeah.
there before they fought each other
Like
too.
I knew
Like they were trying to stop them, and they were like,
no.
No, you're not going to stop us."
Like I knew the bar scene was going to be great. So I was like super excited, just waiting for that scene to happen. I was like, okay, this is going to be hilarious. And then like everything again, I'll keep saying this, like Sean Spears being in the Pinnacle has been doing wonders for him. I'm not saying he's there. I'm not saying he's like the best guy like in the world or he's the most shining guy, but like he was floundering. I think he found his groove a little bit now with the chairman. I thought the room like with the chairs and stuff, I
That
thought
was
that was
great.
yeah, I thought that was very good. And I'm glad that like at first I kind of wanted everyone to go to the ring, but then like after kind of thinking about it or whatever, I kind of was glad that it was just Sammy and Sean Spears. I'm like, you know what, give them like this, give them this due, as in like these guys need to kind of, we need, if like these guys are going to be players in the long run, we need to showcase them because everyone knows that like the tag teams are great. Everyone knows that Jake Hager and Wardlow are these giant monsters. And then you got Jericho and MJF who are clearly like head and shoulders above everyone. Like we know that. That's fine. They're
Well,
leaders.
when Jericho put MJF through that table or whatever it was, like
Yeah.
in the stands, I thought he was just going to pin him. Like,
Yeah.
and so
It was better
yeah.
in the ring. Like, cause it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
for falls count anywhere matches, they like, which we've seen so like a million times. It's hard ending as in like, oh, okay, let's just awkwardly pin this person 1, 2, 3. And then it's like, oh, the match is over. And it's just like kind of falls flat
Well,
after building it up.
then them getting to do like Judas and
Yeah.
like everyone loving it. I
So
mean, if you went to that show and
yeah.
that's how it ended? I mean, first of all, great show, but like
Yeah.
you'd be like, when is the next show? Like,
Yes.
is it
So
we're going back?
here's my take on this of like, I was confused at first because like I remember I was texting Sharp about like the main event with like, well, not the main event, the or Pac, Orange
Mm.
Cassidy, and Omega. And then I'm realizing like, oh, we got the Stadium Stampede after this. And I'm thinking like, why did like they have the world title match on last? And I'm thinking, and this is what makes sense to me. After the last pay-per-view,
Mm.
I knew, and I think we all know that they want to make sure, hey, we need to end this strong and we need to make sure it ends with everyone happy because we cannot repeat what happened last pay-per-view at all. So that makes me kind of goes back into what I was just saying before. Like we're talking about how the Omega match ended. I felt that was a little bit made it more sense because I felt it springboarded this ending of a match where it was definitive. Sammy kind of getting the whole crowd and him doing a 630, which is insane. And just
Yeah.
going like just like putting all of his weight on Sean Spears. I'm like, oh, that must have hurt. But everyone was super into it. And then just chanting Judas at the end. I felt like because everyone knew Omega was going to win. I think that's why they put it on second. And then he went cheaply. I think that's why they needed it to be cheaply because then it springboarded this match as in like, hey, we're going to have the baby faces win. We're going to have everyone loves chanting Judas. Everyone's definitely going to be super happy at the end of this show. And I think that was the main priority of like when Stadium Stampede happened.
Yeah, when they started thinking about how to end the show. I mean, honestly, like more power to them.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. It was a good call on them. As in, like, I
It
was a
should
little weirded
in
out, but then at the end, I was like, that was a good call.
yeah.
Oh, and real quick,
Yeah.
um, before we go into like our rockets and anchors and everything, I want to just Eric sent in his video review, giving his synopsis of Double or Nothing, and he's gonna give his rocket and anchor as well. So Eric, why don't you just go right ahead?
Hey guys, what's up? It's the Double or Nothing 2021 Sharp Insights. Wait, am I live? Am I live? Am I alive? Am I alive? Am I alive? All right, running on empty out here in Colorado, so bear with me if I screw up a few times. I caught this midway through the Battle Royale. Unfortunately, I missed Paige Cage, which I heard was great, and I heard the tag match between the Bucks, Kingston, and Moxley was even better. Battle Royale I thought was good from what I saw. Leo Rush was a kind of mad Joker spot. But that being said, that's a weird spot to put someone who's debuting in, because either you get that last 21 spot and either you win or you kind of look like a chump because you got the last spot. So I didn't mind him being the person because I'm neither here nor there with him. So him getting eliminated was fine. I love Jungle Boy winning, and I thought the ending with Christian was really good. Cody match just didn't work, as we all thought. It just kind of seemed like a display of Go-Go being relatively decent at doing moves, but it just was just a collection of moves, and the crowd was clearly not into it. This seemed like where they started kind of losing the crowd a bit. Into the Miro Archer match. It was okay, not great. Crowd wasn't that into it either. There's a table spot in the beginning where Archer just like chokeslammed him through a table, and it just was totally unnecessary, and they just didn't sell that like spot at all. I don't know. It was not great. Miro flinging the snake was funny, but it also didn't make any sense because it clearly didn't look like a snake was in there. And even if it was, it would be like, dude, that's pretty fucked up, which I guess they were aiming for, but PETA would be on the line. Baker Shida was a good match. I think a lot of people liked it more than me. I thought it got quite sloppy. The right person won, obviously. Crowd was back into it, but I thought it was good, not great. I seem like I'm a downer, but I did like the show a lot. Speaking of which, the Sting match fucking ruled. The prepackage was cool. Sky and Paige played the perfect middle card foils for Sting and Darby. Sting spot in the beginning where Scorpio Sky suplexed him on the ramp and Sting stood back up, pushed him onto Paige, took his shirt off, which is surprising. That's like a big thing because he was wrestling in a t-shirt for so long, even in the TNA days. So that was kind of like a fuck it. I'm back. At 62, he looked pretty damn good, and I thought this match was just so well booked. Everyone looked great. Crowd was hyped for it. I love the ending, just simple, clean. I think it was like 12 minutes or something, which I know this was they were trying to do everything to make Sting look good and hide everyone's faults, so they were not trying to have like a marathon 22-minute match or whatever, but I think the rest of the card could learn from that. The Omega match was fun, had some good near falls. I didn't think it was as thrilling as everyone else did, but I did think it was good. I didn't like the ending where Don Callis ran in, they pulled the ref out, he threw the belts to him. I know they did a similar thing in the Cage match where Cage refused to use the belt, and then Rebel or Reba or whatever her name was tried to help Britt Baker in her match, and it didn't lead to the ending. But there was a lot more interference than we usually see in AEW matches, and I like that they don't usually do that. That's very much a WWE thing. But it was a fun match overall. All right, Stadium Stampede. I didn't like as much as last time. They really hyped up that this was going to be more serious, and it was slightly more serious, but not that much more serious. But I did like the match overall. I thought everything between MJF and Jericho was particularly good. I did not like the overly produced Spears segment with the chairs. I thought that looked like Broadway corny bullshit. All the stuff between Wardlow and Hager was fine. I thought there was a lot of better than usual looking brawling in this match, specifically between FTR and Proud and Powerful, which I did think it was bizarre that they were fighting at a club that was open at the Jaguars stadium when the Jaguars aren't playing. There was a bunch of stuff that was like a little too convenient and silly. I love the Conan cameo because I'm a big fan of him as the DJ. And I really like the ending. I thought it was smart to fight back into the ring. I really wish, and I guess there might be a reason why they couldn't do this, why FTR and Proud and Powerful didn't fight back to the ring as well. Because Jericho, MJF, Sammy, and Sean Spears did, but the tag team members didn't. I love that Sammy won. Full circle between him losing last one and throwing in the towel for the team to him winning. And it's a great thing to spotlight one of the younger members. Also, their entrance was awesome. Inner Circle had a great entrance. Rock of the Night, for me, was the Sting match. I won't say it was the best match. I just had a blast. I just thought it was a really fun time. Anchor was easily a go-go versus Cody. Again, I missed the first two matches, but I think clearly my Rocket could have changed because I heard the tag match was great. And my Anchor wouldn't have changed. I kind of hope Cody does some paternal leave because I'm just not digging them recently. But that's been my Double or Nothing review, and I'm going to go hibernate for a while.
All right. Appreciate it, Eric. Can't wait to have you back, man. Looking forward to that.
Definitely.
All right. Rockets and anchors and rating. My rocket is going to, I love to pick these like singular moments when John Moxley slammed that beer and then slammed the can on his head, crushed it.
Sandman style. Like, yeah, that was good.
I was like, man, we are in for it. I was so amped up. And honestly, if I was picking a match, that would be my match too. So yeah, that's my rocket.
See, I thought you were gonna pick Stadium Stampede if I had to guess because I wasn't sure, but like I also loved like the triple threat match. Started off slow, but to be honest, I know like we want to be different, but I have to agree with you. The tag team match, just the way.
Hey man, for pay-per-views, we can pick the same. You gotta give credit.
Tag team match was good, honestly. It would have been insane if they pulled the trigger and be like, hey, guys, let's just have Eddie and Mox win. That would be just cool. Just have Wild Thing just blaring on the speakers and then just them going nuts. Maybe it'll happen. We'll see. But it has to be my match. My Rocket of the Night. That match was just so good. All four of them just hit on everything perfectly. Eddie and John Moxley know how to play the emotions of the crowd so well. Young Bucks, same thing. They know how to do their moves, being tag teams and all that stuff. I will say my specific like spot of the night. I think it's Ethan Page chucking Darby Allin into the stands. I honestly just like as soon as I saw that, I was so like elated and happy. Not for Darby to get hurt, but just being like that was just awesome. Like I did not see that coming. That was great. And like for a lot of spots that were like really cool, like even like during that match, like when they're gouging their eyes or even the Stadium Stampede, there's so many like propelling down. I'm like, who doesn't like that? The Ethan Page and Darby Allin sticks out to me pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really have an anchor. I'm sure I could I'm sure I could pick something like a go-go looked green. No kidding.
Yeah, like, maybe that's it. The Casino Battle Royale, the ruling, maybe that's kind of my anchor.
Yeah,
but like
the shuffling of the cards. But I'm glad they tried to do something like
for pay-per-views, like we just said at the beginning of the show. It's good to have even flow, like really good matches. Okay, let's simmer down a little bit. All right, let's bring it back up again. Let's simmer down. And like it's good because you can't have like amazing match. Like you can get to the fifth match, you're like, all right, I'm exhausted. I've seen 5 amazing matches. I'm done with I'm kind of done with this. Like you need
you need to have fun. You need to have like
fun fillers.
Fun thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I'm gonna say the idea that Jake has a snake in that bag. Jake Roberts has a snake in the bag. He doesn't.
Oh man, that's funny.
But see, that gave us the Miro look. So how can I be mad?
I know.
So all right, I'm gonna give this a 9.5. I mean, like it could have been a 10. I don't think it was a 10. I think like there's room where this could be better. But it's pretty darn close. So
it has to be between a 9, 9.5. I don't know if I could give a full 9.5, but like it was like I wanted to give it a 9, and then after watching the matches, and I think I'd shoot it to a 9.5 just from first time like having the crowd in an AEW ring. I think that's what
That's a
propelled me
big.
for 9. It's just so good.
That's absolutely a part of it for me. Seeing people's reactions, like hearing the Jungle Boy song with everyone after.
Right. Exactly. Just like all those things just like make it the show like a spectacle.
Not to get too like, sentimental about it, but it felt like a metaphor too. It's like, hey, we're coming out of this horrible time. Like we're into a better period. And it's funny how wrestling, I feel like from the weirdness of WrestleMania last year to like how, okay, like AEW kind of has fans, to the Thunderdome at WWE, to like the fact that, now this show had full audience, and it was like, and it didn't give me anxiety to see all these people maskless like cheering for wrestlers. And that feels great.
Yeah, so I think I might give it a 9.5 just from sentimental value of like better things are coming ahead. Proper things are happening. Honestly, the whole show is like I wasn't mad or angry about like, oh, how could they have that guy winning or that guy winning? It's like I told you, like I feel like as we were conditioned to get disappointed when I was just like Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, I'm like, oh, they're gonna make the same mistake, they're gonna do it, and then like he wins, I'm like, they didn't make the mistake.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Like I should sad that I shouldn't be this happy. I'm like, they didn't mess up, we're fine. But it's just that tag team match really just like set me over. I remember I was texting you guys. I was like, wow. I was like, I almost forgot how much the crowd adds to this show. It's phenomenal right now of like just watching this tag match. And I didn't want to spoil like or anything, but I was just like, this crowd, man. I was like, we'll get used to it, unfortunately, but I think we should take the time now, as in like let's appreciate like the crowd coming back and like really adds on to the show, because it's gonna be funny. Like a year from now, we're gonna be like, oh, okay, that was just a normal show or whatever. I'm like, no, and we're gonna be looking like it wasn't normal before then. It wasn't. It was no one in the ring. It was just like no one in the stands. I mean, it was just weird. But the first time coming back, it's pretty cool to see it, man. It's awesome.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right. We're looking to be back in front of you hopefully next Monday. Since Dynamite is on Friday again. But thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe if you made it this far.
Anything, click the orange box.
Let us know what you think, and much love to you all, and go get vaccinated so we can keep having stadium shows.
Yes. Adds a lot, man. All right, you guys take it easy. All right, have a good one.
Peace.